to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Well, welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. My name is Tom Dutta. I am the Quiet Warrior. I'm excited to have on my show today, Christina Flach. Hey, Christina, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really grateful.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on. This is a very, very special show, and we'll get into that in a few minutes with your story. I want to just acknowledge to the audience that you're calling in from just outside of San Francisco, Marin City, California. I'm up here in Vancouver, British Columbia. And before I turn it to you, I wanted just to say that many, many years ago, I was doing some marketing work for a natural products company, a nutritional company, and we had connected. And, I got to know you a little bit back then, and then through the years followed your success and Ken's success. And then I saw a message pop up just a few weeks ago, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, geez, I'm gonna call you and get you to come on the show and talk about your amazing story and journey in life. And so here you are. So why don't we start with just you telling us a little bit about yourself, Christina?
Okay. Well, I'm a makeup artist. I'm the creator of Pretty Girl Makeup. And I do photo shoots and I travel around being a makeup artist, which I love. And I've created a line of makeup called Pretty Girl. And I'm a mother of 5, and I was married to Ken Flach for 8 years. Very happily and very madly in love with my husband, and he sadly passed away a year ago today.
Wow. Well, first of all, we're so sorry for your loss, and today's show is going to be in honor of your work and Ken and I know it's the anniversary of his death, and it's very emotional for you. So I want you to catch your breath for a minute as I fill in some blanks of your bio. I read your bio, and I was blown away by the work that you've done. So let's start with that. I mean, not only are you the creator of Pretty Girl Makeup, and by the way, that branding just sticks with me. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
You hear about makeup artists and you go, wow, that's an interesting profession. And then you look further at what you've done, and it's like, look at the people that you've helped. I just want to read a few names off just to give some depth to your work. Your clients have included Hillary Swank, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, Senator Ted Cruz. Then jumping into the music industry, a band I grew up with, Metallica, the drummer Lars Ulrich, Journey, Bobby Flay. I'm a foodie. Italian Vogue, Forbes, Time Magazine, Food Network, Apple. I mean, getting into things like Giorgio Armani, Ralph Lauren, Vanity Fair. I mean, the list goes on and on about your talent. So we're so honored to have somebody like you on the show. Maybe we'll have another show just to talk about how did you do that.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been such a interesting career. I didn't expect to become a makeup artist, and I'm so blessed that I have this amazing agent named Clarissa. I'm represented by Scout artists, Scout creatives in San Francisco and Los Angeles. And she books me really outstanding jobs. And one of the blessings of my job, besides being an artist, that I get to be paid creating, beautiful things and working with amazing people. But I also am really blessed with getting like one-on-one time with someone like Condoleezza or Hillary or, Lars and the Journey guys or Bobby Flay, who was fantastic. You just get like time that they sit in your chair and you've got them for about an hour and you get to pretend you're Oprah and you get to interview them and talk to them. Or sometimes they don't want to talk and they just want some quiet. So you kind of have to be, sensitive to the mood that they're in. Sometimes they just want silence. And so sometimes it is. And then they start talking and opening up. And it's so funny. People get in my makeup chair and they'll tell me things that they probably wouldn't tell their best friend, but it's almost like I have like lawyer, doctor, confidentiality. I don't repeat any of my private conversations with my clients. I just keep them inside and know that they were very special moments that I was blessed to have.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, they say, Christina, that you find your passion usually in the first 10 years of life. I mean, if you go back,
Mm-hmm.
you find clues there. You've obviously found
Mm-hmm.
a career and a passion here. And I got to just share a personal story. I wasn't expecting to share it, but very quickly, my wife and I
Okay.
traveled down to Hollywood. We actually did a show for Moving America Forward, related
Oh,
to
wow.
my book and some of the work we did. And I've done some makeup in the past, in my corporate career as an executive. That was the first time, though, in a studio. And I remember the lady who sat with me and did my makeup, and it was exactly what
Mm-hmm.
you said. She was amazing. She was trying to have a conversation with me. I was so nervous. Part of me was saying, like, lady, just go away and just don't talk to me.
Right.
And then the other side of me was, she had a great conversation, but she made me feel relaxed and at ease. And I thought, you know what? There's a lot more to that work. It's also about people skills, which I think, just from spending some time with you on the mic here, you've got a great personality that way. So,
Thank you.
so let's in a minute, I can turn back to you, but I want to just build this up a little bit. There you were, and you just told us that you were married to the late Ken Flach. I think 8 years. Offline, you were chatting with me. We had a great conversation about how you two met, and then something dramatic happened. So, take us back to wherever you want to start, the beginning, and tell us that story.
So, my husband got sick. He got a cold, which turned into bronchitis, which turned into sepsis, and which turned into pneumonia. And he had called the doctor. We had called together to the doctor to see, like, if he could be seen on a Wednesday. And they, we spoke to an advice nurse, and they had the doctor call him, and they really didn't take him seriously. They just kind of poo-pooed it, and the doctor called and spoke to him for 3 minutes and prescribed cough medicine with codeine. Wow. And an inhaler. And the problem with that is, my husband had said repeatedly that he'd never felt worse in his life. He felt like he had glass in his chest. He felt like, he had fever, and then he was cold, and like just felt horrible. He said he felt like he was dying, and they didn't give him an antibiotic, even though he said he had, green, yellow mucus coming out of his throat and his nose, and just terrible. So the fact that they didn't, we were with Kaiser, and that was the insurance company, and they're the doctors as well.
Yeah.
They didn't give him an antibiotic. So when you give someone a cough medicine with codeine, it suppresses the breathing to the point that it slows it down so much that your breathing actually helps your infection, right? Well, when your breath is slowed down to the point that Ken's was, the infection grew like a wildfire. So within 12 hours, he was so much worse. Yeah. It was shocking. And he started spitting up blood. And so I rushed him to the emergency, and he walked in, and he was really spitting up more blood. And they put him into the emergency room and gave him oxygen. And then they went through 3 different procedures of oxygen because it wasn't enough. He just was having a really hard time breathing. And so the doctor called me out of the room and said that Ken wasn't doing well and that he might die. And I just said, that's just not even possible. Do whatever the hell you need to do. You fix my husband. Like, no. He is not going to die. Like, no, I cannot live 1 second without him. That's just not happening. So anyway, they told me they were going to intubate him, which I wasn't quite clear on what it was. They said that they needed to put him to sleep to clear out his lungs, which made sense to me at the time. So I told him, sweetie, they're going to put you to sleep for a minute and clear out your lungs, and you're going to feel better and you're going to be fine. But what they didn't tell me, that intubation is actually life support. And so my husband was put on life support. He actually at that point had sepsis. He went into septic shock. And if they had given him the proper antibiotic, which the hospital didn't have on hand, they were out of it. They waited 3 hours. He would be alive today. And wow. Because he didn't, the infection, so the thing that happens with sepsis, and which I didn't even know, Ken and I were completely unaware of what it was at the time. or before he got ill, that sepsis is a blood infection and it takes over your body like a fury. It shuts all your organs down, your liver, your kidney, your heart, everything shuts down, and your appendages start to turn black. So, and I still was so naive, I didn't realize what happened. So I called another specialist in to like fix that. And I said, what are we going to do about the discoloration on his hands and legs? And they said, well, if he survives, we're going to have to amputate his arms and his legs.
Oh my.
And I'm just like, wait, what? That's like insane. Like, my husband is a professional athlete. He is an active man. He golfs, like he lives to golf and to be with his kids and me. And like, you know, like that's just not an option. I would not, you know, I'm not going to amputate my husband's arms and legs. And honestly, at that point, it wouldn't have mattered because everything, all his organs had failed at that point.
Wow. Hey, Christina, let's let you pause there and catch your breath. First of all, I want to honor you for sharing. I mean, it's courage to do this on a international radio show. And my heart's grown so much here with so much emotion. I just want to take the journey with you. You know, we're talking about, for the audience to know, I think most people know of Ken Flach if they follow tennis, but for the audience, I mean, we're talking about a professional sports athlete. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ken was a 4 times Grand Slam professional tennis champion, also won a gold medal in the sport in the Olympics. I mean, at that point in time when he got sepsis, I'm assuming that he was in peak health. So keep going in the story. Tell us more. Like, the sepsis is something I didn't know anything about until I heard about your story. And then I started taking note of it, and it blows my mind. Tell us more about, you know, his health and sepsis itself. You know, is there anything that triggers it? And obviously over the last year, you've turned your passion and purpose to informing people, starting a campaign about sepsis. You know, what are the breakthroughs? Are there anything that can be done about it or to prevent it?
Well, Ken won 4 Grand Slam men's doubles, but he also won 2 mixed doubles titles. So I wanted to add that.
Wow.
And he won a gold medal and Wimbledon. He's amazing. So with sepsis, you know, I just want to bring awareness to the world about sepsis because people really aren't aware of it and they don't realize how strong a disease this is, and that it is preventable and it is curable. Sepsis, you know, there needs to be, I'm trying to get stronger protocols in hospitals. People really need to know that you don't have 12, you know, you think you're sick and, oh, I'll get through it. I feel terrible and I'll feel better in a few hours. With sepsis, you don't have a few hours. You don't have 12 hours. You will be dead. So what I've gotten so many people shockingly that have been contacting me telling me like, oh, I think my husband's sick. And I just said, please just go to the hospital and get a blood test. It's a simple blood test that they can run. They can get the results in 20 minutes. If you are positive with sepsis, they can get you on an antibiotic. And if it's caught in time, you will absolutely survive. So that's what I'm trying to do now. I just feel that if I had known, I would have, you know, been able to handle this better. I could have pushed it stronger, even though I am very tough and strong and was trying to protect my husband. I really didn't realize the severity of this.
Yeah.
So
is it something that's genetic? I mean, if he was in such great shape, is there any indication of why you get sepsis? It's just an infection that you can be exposed to typically in a hospital. And, you know, it's just something that it's an infection that's there. And if your immune system's low or you're weak, like Ken had, you know, bronchitis and pneumonia, he was, you know, a lot, you know, I was obviously with him. So, and I'm perfectly fine. Nothing happened to me. But when your immune system is low and you're weak, you can get these things. Yeah, I think right there is a teaching moment. I just want to play that back. I made some notes here. I mean, part of me is about preventative health. For 30 years now, I haven't seen a medical doctor. I see a naturopathic physician myself for my own. To share a story with you, I had a near-death experience with the side effect of a drug when I was in my early 30s. And, I started learning. And so, what you told us about the immune system, I mean, I'm looking for ways people can maybe prevent it. Things like making sure that you look after your internal systems, your immune system, knowing what this is, knowing that if there's any signs of it, how to recognize it. And as you said, when the medical system fails us, being able to take charge of it when you're encountering it. You've had a year now, and you're doing a lot of things to bring awareness. How can we help you and your cause with this?
Well, you can go to the sepsisalliance.org website, and there's different tests. There's a test you can take, and there's also, they can tell you the signs of it. And so there's a few signs that if you have sepsis or if you're becoming septic, there's patches of discolored skin, decreased urination, your changes in your mental ability. You're like a little bit off. You're not thinking clearly. Your low blood platelet count. You have problems breathing, abnormal heart functions, and then you have chills due to fall in your body temperature, and you can become also unconscious. It's also something like a feeling like, how you're sick, you can get sick and how your body normally feels. Like you feel like not very great, but that's just kind of a range of your normal of being ill. This is a different level of feeling bad. And so you really just have to be aware of your own body and be your own advocate and be able to communicate like, don't feel embarrassed going to get the blood test or thinking you might have sepsis. It's better that you overreact than underreact, because time is of the essence. And if Kaiser had seen my husband, which they did not see him. And if they would have, I don't want this medical system of ours in the United States that they can be diagnosing someone like my husband over the phone and misdiagnosing and giving him the wrong medicine.
Yeah.
So that's the problem here. And that's why I'm trying to raise awareness for. That's what I've been doing for the past year.
Oh, I think it's brilliant. I mean, I'm so proud of you. I love your story. I love you and the work.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I got to tell you that, it's such a parallel story in a different way. I mean, I have a younger son, a stepson. He's in his 30s, and this is a parallel. He had some challenges with his health about 20 years ago. I remember being down in Atlanta, Georgia. I was traveling as a CEO of a company, and my wife, who was a career banker and still is up here in Canada, Anna called me, and she said, Daniel thinks he's dying. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he went on the internet and self-diagnosed himself with multiple sclerosis. This was a 21-year-old kid, and they had written him off to go on disability. He was starting out his career. I mean, it was exactly what you said. I mean, diagnosing somebody with a series of a couple questions, mistreating the diagnosis. I mean, that happens all the time. And I'm just so honored that you're sharing the truth behind sepsis and what it is, so that we can make sure that the tragedy that happened to Ken in your life never happens to anybody else. So one of the other questions I want to ask you, this is a deeper question, and if you can answer it, they say that in life we go on a journey. That's one of the narrative behind my show, Christina, is the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell left us with his body of work. He was a researcher, and he found a common thread in people's stories. What he found is that sometimes we hear this call to go on an adventure. We leave the known world we live in. We go on an adventure to do things different. Usually you hear that call. Most people don't answer it, but most times when we answer that call, it's when something not great in our life happens. And then we go out and we learn, and we come back as a shaman or a guide or somebody who's going to change the world. Your story sounds like that to me. I mean, you had this incredible call to go on an adventure to learn about sepsis and come back. And here you are. So, tell us about what your purpose is. If somebody was to ask you, what's your purpose today? What are you here to do?
It's so funny. That quote they say, there's nothing like the fury of a woman, an angry woman.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of like sepsis took my husband from me. Kaiser killed my husband, I feel like, by not diagnosing and misdiagnosing and not giving him the right medicine. So I am on a mission. I want to help others not have this happen. And I do want to make change in the medical system. I want people to be aware of the signs of sepsis so this doesn't happen. And I'm really grateful that I'm able, with Ken's, celebrity and name, and that I'm able to do that. And on another note, that, it's so amazing. The tennis community is such a tight bond. And I'm actually down in Palm Springs right now at Indian Wells at the tennis tournament. And yesterday they had a tournament for the alumni, the people the guys that were on the pros on the tour before that have come back to the tournament. They have a golf tournament here, and they actually named it after Ken, which would have made Ken so happy. They had 60 guys playing at Porcupine Creek, which is Larry Ellison's golf course down here. Larry Ellison owns the Indian Wells golf tournament. And he had them all out there for a tournament. And actually this morning at noon, I'm going to the tournament to give the winner a trophy that's named after Ken. And I'm really proud and excited about that. And later on today, between the first and second match, they're actually going to be doing a memorial video of Ken today. The ATP and the USTA are all doing that. So I'm really grateful that the tennis community and the ATP and the USTA has, come, and they're helping me, remember Ken and honor Ken as he should be.
Oh, that is so awesome. I'm so glad that you shared all that. I mean, how exciting, and talk about an honor and a tribute to a great athlete, a great man, a great husband. I mean, the work you're doing is going to make a difference in the world. I can feel it, Christina. I can sense the passion behind your words. I can feel you over the phone here in the emotional part of it. The other thing is, after the show's taped and before we release it, I have to come up with a title, and I just wrote down "A Woman Scorned," and maybe that'll be maybe that might be part of it. I just love it. I also wanted to share with you, so the audience was aware, that I sent you a note through LinkedIn, and the University of British Columbia, which is our large university up here in British Columbia, Canada, where I live, the president of the university just posted something about sepsis. It's funny how when you become aware of something, everything else comes more on your radar. I wasn't even thinking about sepsis till you and I had connected. And science researchers at our university may have found something that could be a breakthrough in this field. So I'm going to continue to keep my radar up. I'm going to ask the audience who hear this show, and this will be an international broadcast, that anything that they can share and connect back with you that's going to help you on your cause to make a difference, to change the world, that we continue to do that. The other thing I want to do is take the last few minutes that we have together, this time anyway, and finish on a high to honor Ken for the great person he was. You and I talked offline about how you met, and you told this wonderful story that, quite frankly, put a smile on my face. Just tell us about how you met, and let's end on that.
Well, Ken and I met, funny enough, through my friend Sean Casey, moved next door to Ken's doubles partner, Rob Seguso, and his wife, Carlene Bassett. And we became friends on Facebook, and I had posted something, and he commented on it. And I saw his name, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's that cute tennis player I had a crush on when I was like 16. I had a poster of him up, like above my bed. And I just thought, oh my gosh, that's so funny. And then he wrote me like a little note saying, oh, I hear we have mutual friends, and, it's so nice to meet you. And we just kind of started writing each other really great emails for like a year and a half before we met, and he would never call me. And I just kept telling him, please just call me sometime. I'm much funnier on the phone, I think, than the email. And he never did. But then finally I invited him to my daughter's godfather's birthday party in Nashville. And I said, would you like to go to this party with me? But, you're going to actually have to talk to me. So I don't know if you can handle that. So he goes, I'm calling you tomorrow. And so he actually did. It was so cute. And we were on the phone for 5 hours the first time we spoke. And it was like effortless. It was just so easy. And he was so funny and smart and witty and just delightful. And I just fell madly in love with him then. And we were married 6 weeks later.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. Yeah. What an amazing story. The power of social media as well. And so I'm going to just take a couple minutes here to honor Ken. So everybody, when you're listening to the show, I want you to know that we're taping the show. I chose the date March 12th. It's the first anniversary of the death of Ken Flach. We lost a great man. You're hearing from Christina Flach, her husband, about the greatness behind him. Professional athlete, all the bells and whistles that go with that. But it goes deeper than that. And Christina, I believe, and I'm not an overly religious guy, but I believe that God put you in a position and opened a door here to go out and make a difference in the world. You know, Ken paid the ultimate price. We all love Ken. And when I look at your background and all the people that you've met, and my mind starts saying to me, wow, I mean, you can start a movement here just with the work you've done to honor Ken. And you're doing it. You're 1 year in, and your fury is strong. So we honor that, and we want you to keep going. Also, I want to share with you a few words. I write these down as you're speaking. They're not scripted. These are leadership words that I honor you with. The first one is hero. You're a heroine. There's no question, because you're telling this story. And in just a year, the energy that's within you from such a big loss and the work that you're doing to make a difference is heroic. Inspiration, it comes out of you. I'm sure you've been told that, but there's this inspiring energy from you. Love, there's no question. The last story we heard, you're a woman who knows how to love others and share that feeling. And the last one is purpose. There's a picture in the dictionary beside the word purpose with your face on it. I mean, you have this big purpose now to go out in the world and spread the word about sepsis. So let's turn it back to you for the last word. Anything you want to say, and tell everybody how they can connect to you, and if they want to talk to you or share with you anything they want.
Well, you can send me an email, Christina@prettygirlmakeup.com, or through Facebook. I'm under Christina Flach, or you can look at my Instagram at Christina Flach Makeup. I was so blessed to be married to Ken and to fall in love with such an amazing man. And I'm grateful. Everyone's like, I look at it as that I'm grateful that I had 8 years with Ken. And I wish I had, 58 years with Ken, but I try and just stay focused on the 8 amazing years I had. We had a normal marriage. There were ups and downs and all around, but it was definitely full of love and passion. And now I feel it's like I have a choice every day when I wake up. I choose to be happy. I choose to be positive. I choose to use Ken's name in a positive manner to honor him, but also to use his name to bring awareness and to help others. It's my purpose, and I feel very strongly and passionately that it would be a moral sin for me to not do something with this, to just crawl into a ball and fall asleep and not do something with this would be really wrong. And I know my husband would be so proud of me, but also laughing like, of course, my wife is on a mission and on a rampage about this. Like, God forbid she just go read her book and go about her business. She's got to cause havoc in the world. And he'd be just laughing, going, oh God, those poor people at Kaiser, she is going to take them down. She is going to make change, and, just don't stop her. Just let her do her thing. He would definitely be rolling his eyes and laughing, but on the same token, he would be very, very proud of me. I know he would have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that this interview will be released, and he'll be listening, and he'll be smiling, and he is proud of you, like we all are. I'm going to make a commitment as well that if I'm down in the United States again and doing any media work, I'm going to seek you out to do my makeup.
Oh, please. Oh my gosh, please do. And my mother was Canadian, by the way. I didn't tell you that before. So I have a lot of family in Canada.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that. Now we're
yes. we're relatives.
Yeah, the sister from another mother I never had.
Exactly.
Well, maybe we'll have you back. Will you come back again? I mean, we'll have you back again.
I would love to. Oh my gosh, anytime. Thank you so much. I'm so honored and thrilled to be able to have this time with you, especially today. You know, it's a really hard day. And a year ago, I remember thinking like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? And where's my life going to be in a year? I couldn't have imagined. I never in a million, if someone told me that I would be like speaking about sepsis and doing these things, I would have said, you're out of your mind. Like, I will never, and don't ever say never, because then you always end up doing it. But I'm glad that I chose this path. You know, I really am. I'm proud of it, and I'm determined, and I'm not giving up. You know, I'm going to, you know, make change with Kaiser for doing what they did to my husband and to me and my children. You know, Ken and I had 9 children together. You know, he had 4 and I had 5. And, you know, our children did not deserve to lose their father at such a young age. You know, they're all so special, and Ken loved them all so much. And it's just awful that he's not here.
No, I understand and honor you, and thank you for sharing that again. I mean, wow, what a tribe of family. And you're absolutely right, Christina. We can't even imagine the pain you feel in your heart. I mean, you're showing up today inspired and putting on your game face. I know, and I'm telling you this because with a lot of love, that in your quiet moments by yourself, there's a lot of pain, that every day is a journey. And what makes that easier is to have a purpose, to know you're making a difference. And that is what you're doing. As I mentioned earlier in the show, and I'll say it again to acknowledge you, that there are people all over the world, I am sure, that you'll meet in your journey that have lost somebody to sepsis. What makes somebody stand up and say, I'm going to go on a crusade to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else? I'm going to change the way of the world in this area. What makes that happen? Oh, you know in your heart, but that's the true hero's journey. And so you're making a big dent in the universe with this work. So on that note, let's wrap up here, everybody. I want to acknowledge the show. Please go to iTunes and give it a rating so we can honor Christina's work. And you know what? Find that passion like you hear in her voice. Live with that purpose and live the life that you deserve and desire.
Thank you for listening to The Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca